everyone, today I will be talking about Morphe, specifically the infamous 35O palette. So I recently picked up the 35O and the 35O2 palettes from Ulta. My first online Ulta order actually, and it was very pain-free and very easy. I was a little intimidated and a little scared because I wasn't sure how it was going to go over, just because Ulta just recently started shipping to Canada, but it was a really good experience. So the only thing I've done is take the palette out and make sure that it had arrived safely. I was concerned about shadows shattering or breaking, and I just wanted to make sure if that was the case. I checked it because I knew it was going to be about a week or so until I got the chance to film my first impressions, and I really wanted to film a first impressions. I asked you guys on Twitter too what you guys would like to see from me, and a lot of people wanted to see Morphe first impressions. And on a personal level, I've been having a little bit of a rough time. So I already used the 35O2 palette, and I've used that a few times. If you haven't seen my another palette tag, I would highly suggest that because I talk about that palette in more detail. But this is about the 35O palette, so I'm really excited. I've wanted this for a couple of years now. I've watched a lot of tutorials with people using this, and yes, it's fairly dupeable, but there's just something about it that appealed to me. So I have not swatched anything at all. I just checked it to make sure that it had arrived okay. So looking at it now in comparison to the 35O2 palette, I'm not as inspired by it. Like, it doesn't spark things in me immediately, but the more I look at it, the more I see I can do with it. There's a lot of different tones in here. I know it can kind of look similar, and I don't doubt that there's a lot of similar things in here. Some things that are just like half of a shade, if that, different. But I like some of these lighter tones which are missing from the 35O2 palette, so I feel like these two will work well together, but I'm just going to use the 35O in this video. So there's a mix of shimmers and mattes. This is not a review video, this is not a swatch video. There are like thousands of those out there because this palette has been out for years, but I just wanted to play with it and see what I thought of the formula. So I'm going to do like a very typical for me eye look using tape, because I feel like go with what I know and what's comfortable for me instead of trying to do something crazy and weird with a formula that I have not used before, because I'm not sure if it's the same as the 35O2 or not. And even that one I've only been using for a few days, so I'm not an expert yet. I don't like to review products until I've used it for a while. Like, I hate first impression videos that are labeled as reviews, because you can't possibly know if something is going to work for you long term if you've used it like for an hour. So I swatched a couple of the shadows to get sort of an idea of what I'm working with here. The mattes, first thoughts, they're not as pigmented and soft as the 35O2. They seem a little patchy in swatch, but swatches mean nothing in comparison to how it's going to apply to your eye. And a couple of the shimmer shades, they applied really well, so as a swatch. So I want to see what they'll do on my eye. So I have primed my eye and set with Walk of Shame from the Urban Decay Naked Basics palette. So the first shadow I really want to reach into is probably no surprise to anybody, this shade right here. So I'm going to pick this up on my Hakuhodo J5529. Is it? It's starting to fade. I think it's, yeah, J5529 brush. And I'm going to put this on the outer portion of my eye. This is an eye look that I do all the time, this shape. So I'm already having to dip back into the palette again to pick up more product. It's nowhere near as pigmented as the 35O2. I think something might be different with it, just based off of what I've tried so far. I did not have to work very hard with the 35O2, but the 35O, I'm definitely having to work a little bit here to get a decent color payoff, at least with this first shade. So I'm not blown away. I'm definitely glad I used the 35O2 before I used this one, because so far I'm not impressed. It's applying okay, but trying to, come on, eyebrow, lie down. It's okay. that's my thoughts so far. But like, I really swirled my brush in the pan and I just don't feel like it's as pigmented as other shadows I've used of the similar orangey red color. I also like this sort of eye style because it's easy and fairly quick. But I want to take more time, but I'm such an impatient person. I'm going back to this eye again because I feel like color did not apply evenly, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go in with a darker color or not. I really wanted this color to be the standout. The hardest thing with this palette is that I want to use so many different shades, but then I just feel like if I go in with too many shades with this kind of eye look, it might just get kind of muddy. So I'll have to visit it again. I wish I liked it more. So far I just... I'm going to take this shade right above it next, and I'm going to pick that up and start blending. I'm not sure how this shade is going to apply. It's kind of peachy, which is nice. It really does. Okay, they're blending really well together, so that's a plus. I was not sure how it was going to work. But yeah, okay, that was really easy. I didn't even have to really work at it, so that's a very good positive thing. Because I'm just dragging that peachy shade into the orange, and then I think I'll put a shimmer part on the inner portion and then maybe do even other different shadows on the lower lash line just to try as many as I can. Because with so many shadows in here, in case you hadn't got it from the name, there's 35 shadows, and it's impossible to put 35 shadows on your lid at one time and have it like look good, because it would just be a nightmare. But that's the good thing with this palette, is that you have options. Now, next I want to use a shimmer, and I always use Fix Plus with shimmers for the really foiled effect and to really get control of a shimmery, glittery shadow. I know it's not going to apply as well as I want it to, but I will try it just for the sake of this video. So this one is really speaking to me. I'm just sort of drawn to, oh, it's already dirty. I did not experience that with the 3502 yet. But anyway, I really, this section over here really appeals to me, which is not surprising. Oh, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by that shimmery shade. It's not as vibrant because it's not wet, but it's still applying pretty nicely. I think I will go in first lightly with it dry, but then I think I will probably go in. Maybe I don't want to. I don't know. It's making a bit of a mess on the palette, and I'm a pretty aggressive shadow user, so I'm not really surprised. But I don't. This is not as intense, but maybe that's just the nature of the palette. It's more neutral than vibrant, like the 3502 is like pow. This is really reserved. I do want to do a look sometime with these cooler tones as well, but right now it's just the warmer side that draws. I have to look at this shade now. I just saw it in the light. It was reflecting some chunks of glitter. I was like intrigued. Oh, that's beautiful. Was not expecting that at all. There's so many fun things to discover with this palette, but I am going to need to get some Fix Plus because this is not working for me. I just held this up thinking that was a mirror. It's not a mirror. That's one thing that I dislike about palettes that don't have mirrors, because I just find it hard to reach for them, because I always apply my makeup using a mirror. So I just sprayed a little Fix Plus, and now I'm going back in with that same shade, just layering it on top wet. You can see a difference pretty clearly and quickly there. But I'm going to have to go back in Definitely just covered over that peachy shade because I went too far in with this shimmer, but that's fine. Well, I will say so far I have to work with it a little bit more than I have had to work with other similar shadows before, but it's not bad. I can't really compare it to any other shadows I've used. They don't feel the same. Like the 35O really reminds me a lot of Makeup Geek, sort of like Makeup Geek meets Urban Decay, but this formula reminds me more of Too Faced, like sweet peach kind of Too Faced, which I do like. I do like that palette, but it's not my favorite because it's not the easiest for me compared to like MAC and Urban Decay, Makeup Geek. Those are the ones that I reach for the most. So maybe these are just not supposed to be used wet because they are not working well for me at all. Usually this takes me seconds to blend everything sort of seamlessly, and this is not doing it. I don't like the way that this wet blended in. It almost made it more pink, but it keeps catching on certain spots of my lid, which I don't experience with other shadows, and it's just sort of sticking on spots. And I'm really having to go back and forth and blend and blend. And then I feel like I'm blending stuff away, and then it looks like there's less definition between the two. Like it doesn't fade like the nice ombre. This was not what I had in mind when I was first starting this. I'm gonna dip back into that orangey red shade I was using at the beginning to see if I can intensify this a little bit more, just to get a little bit more definition and separation between the shadows I put on the inner portion of my eye and the outer, because I just feel like there's not the greatest separation there. My eyes are shaped differently, and the way that my like brow bone sits, it is different, so it's hard sometimes to match things up, but I think that's okay. I might go in with a darker shade though to add some extra definition there. So I'm going to take this guy. This is another Hakuhodo brush, but I'm not sure what the name of it is. And I'm going to, I really want like a black, and there's no black in this palette, which is kind of surprising. But I guess, again, this is where this palette would pair well with the 3502. I know I'm saying that a lot, but I think this one right here is going to be my best bet for the real outer portion of my eye. So I am tapping off excess just to be careful. Ooh, okay. This is not how I thought this video was going to go. I honestly thought, because I liked the 3502, I was gonna like this one, but 'tis a pity. They're just not blending well. Like this is just sitting on top of it, and I keep having to go back in. Yikes. I'll have to do a video using the 3502 so you guys can see the difference with it, because that one like blew my mind. I was like, I want all the Morphe palettes after using that one, but you've seen this one, I'm like, hell no. This is just not good. I hate to be negative, but like things are just not blending well at all. Like I'm really resisting the urge to dip into the Urban Decay palette that I'm using as a mirror. I'm like, oh, those shadows are so good, let me use that black. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna have to play with this more to see what I can do with it, but so far these like what, four shadows that I've used. Alright, so after blending for like 1,000 years, I have the stank face on because I don't like it. So I'm picking up that orangey red shade again for the lower lash line. I haven't done all my base makeup yet, but I just feel like completing the eye. I feel like if I wasn't doing this, if I was doing my makeup to like film another video or something, I would have taken everything off and started again. So this really shimmery one, the one that I swatched here, I'm going to take that one for my lower lash line and just see how that applies. It feels really soft on the brush. I feel like the fallout is going to be nutty with this one because there's so much glitter in it. I do think that shadow would definitely benefit from Fix Plus to control it, but I feel like Fix Plus might be a little bit too much. I'm going to take this shade right here just to blend out a little bit. Like I said, I want to play with shades, but the amount of orange that's on my face right now is ridiculous. It started out okay. Okay, so let's take the tape off and see where we stand. So you can see it's super messy. I'm gonna have to clean all of that up. There was quite a bit of fallout. I'm using my finger there just to see if I can wipe any of it away, and yes, it's wiping away. Really not happy with this. Really not happy with this. Okay, so I'm gonna go do like foundation base stuff, clean up under my eyes, and I'll come back and do like mascara, false lashes, and talk to you more about my thoughts, but I'm not gonna add any more shadow or anything until I come back, but I just wanna do all my base stuff really quick. All right, so I cleaned everything up, but I have not added a single bit of shadow. This is the look now that I cleaned up the fallout. It looks better than it did, but I'm still not super crazy about it, honestly. I feel like it's so weird how my experience differed so greatly. So before I go in with lashes, which I'm going to definitely do because I feel like Morphe, this needs lashes, I'm going to take this shade right here to highlight with because I'm trying to keep in with the palette. Well, this is a decent highlight shade. I tend to highlight with like a strange color, like something sort of duochrome or very, very shimmery, not something more on the matte side. So this is a nice change to that. I think glitter would look really cool with this as well. Like when I do this sort of shape, I like to add like glitter and stuff to the inner corner. It's for another time, I suppose. While I'm waiting for some lash glue to get tacky, I think I'll go ahead with a little lip color. And I think I need a dramatic lip for this. So I just filled in my lips with this Urban Decay lip pencil in Venom. And then for lipstick, I'm going to use the Anastasia lipstick in Stevie. I thought that they might pair well to give me a good berry color, and they did. I think this was a great lip choice. I'm using this Stila mascara I recently got a sample of, and it's so good. I could probably just do the mascara, but we'll try the lashes and see if that sort of completes the look for me. So they didn't blend that well together. It was a bit of a struggle, but it's not bad the more I look at it. I'm gonna blend stuff out a little bit using this MAC 217 to soften under the eyes. But I didn't use any eyeliner or anything. I just used the shadow. It's sort of what I've been feeling recently, has been more of the eyeshadow speaking for itself than adding any eyeliner at all. So I'm just gonna quickly pop on some lashes and hope for the best. All right, so lashes are on. I added a little bit of black liquid liner just on the inner portion here, just to connect everything. I'm gonna spray a little Fix Plus. And there you have the completed look using the Morphe 35O palette. I do like it now that everything is done and it's like full glam, but I can totally see why everybody always puts ginormous false eyelashes on when they use Morphe eyeshadows, at least in the case of the 35O, because it doesn't blend smoothly. I'm sure if I spent hours, and I know some people who do looks and show looks using this palette do spend hours doing it, but who realistically is going to spend like 2 to 3 hours blending their eyeshadow on a regular basis? It's just not going to happen. This is more of a realistic time frame for me, and it's okay, but it's only something I think that I would want to use in a dramatic fashion if I was going the full 9 yards with the lashes and everything, because then it all looks good. It looks like, wow, okay, and you spent time doing your makeup and you look so kind of glamorous and stuff. Because this look, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty glamorous. I like this. And I'm sure if I posted this like on social media, people would really like it. But I think it's because the false eyelashes hide a lot. All right, so first impressions with the 35O palette, not great. Not the best palette I have used. Again, this is first impressions, my first time using it, and only using a very small handful of the 35 shadows. Some of these other ones might very well surprise me, and I really want to try this out for longevity and to see what other things I can do, how it plays with other products. I think that's really important for me as well, because I don't always stick with just one palette when I do my makeup. I mix things together, so I really want to see how this will play with some of the other things that I use. So I might end up doing a full review at some point, maybe a combo review with the 35O too, maybe a comparison. Let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. Just let me know in general what else you would like to see, because I love eyeshadow. I have a lot of it. I've gone through a lot of it. I've panned a lot of eyeshadow, so I'm not an expert in application by any means, but man, I try. I try hard. And I do have a lot of experience using shadows to completion and playing with different looks and wearing things from 6 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. So I can definitely speak on stuff like that. Let me know what you would like to see, and I will do my best to incorporate it in some way. Anyway, that is everything for this video. Happy Sunday. I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead of you, and I will hopefully talk to you very soon. Bye for now.